Under the cheerful, clear skies, my husband, John, and I eagerly made our way to the elementary school. Today is our grandson, Nick's field day. Spotting Nick among the students lined up in the schoolyard, we shouted as loud as we could. "Go, Nick! You can do it!" With students and parents all cheering, our voices probably didn't reach him. The obstacle race, dance, the morning events flew by, and soon it was announced that it was lunchtime. The elementary school students who had been sitting in their class groups rushed over to their guardians. But Nick was nowhere to be seen. "Oh." I followed John's gaze as he called out. And there was Nick, all alone, nibbling on a sandwich. "Why are you eating alone? Where are your mom and dad?" "They went to the aquarium with my brother." "What? How come?" "I knew it," John said as if he had guessed everything. "John, Emily, Mary, breakfast is ready." Another calm morning begins as usual. I, Linda, gently called out to my still sleepy husband and our 2 daughters. "Good morning." "Oh, is it scrambled eggs this morning?" John sniffed happily as he entered the dining room and sat down at the table. I'm so nervous about today's speech competition." Our elder daughter, Emily, a high school senior, sighed as she poured some juice. "You are good at speaking, so it will definitely be okay. You're unbeatable when it comes to talking, sis." Mary, our sophomore daughter, smiled as she playfully patted Emily on the shoulder. "What's that supposed to mean? Are you complimenting me?" Emily puffed out her cheeks in a jokingly angry manner. "Of course." Seeing Mary's goofy face made me relax. "Thanks to you, my nerves are gone. You should take things more lightly, like Mary does." John commented this to Emily, who is not only well-spoken but also strong-willed. "Yeah, I need to loosen up a bit." For a moment, Emily's face clouded, but she quickly recovered. I sensed Emily's mood swing and promptly spoke up. "It's because you're so reliable, Emily, that you help me out too. I believe it's natural for teenage girls to be moody." After that, Emily's speech competition went smoothly, and both daughters began preparing earnestly for their final exams. Let's see, this should be solvable using this formula. As I brought over some sandwiches to my hardworking daughters, Emily appeared to be struggling but managing to solve the problems. "Emily, take a break if you're hungry. Have a sandwich." "So, that's how it works." Emily was so focused that she didn't seem to hear me. I left the wrapped sandwich at the door and headed to Mary's room. "Mary, I made some sandwiches for you." Entering her room, unlike the studious Emily, Mary looked relaxed as she casually flipped through her textbook. "Wow. I was just getting hungry, so I'm glad." "Thanks, Mom." With an innocent smile, Mary eagerly took a bite of the sandwich. Even during the exam period, Mary's relaxed attitude was evident, but her test scores were nearly perfect. Sure enough, she scored almost full marks on the final exams and came home as usual, snacking away. Although Emily scored above average, she was upset because she lost to Mary in terms of overall scores. Consequently, when Mary tried to talk to her after she got home, Emily stubbornly ignored her. It's always a set pattern, a period of ignoring for a couple of days, and then on the 4th day or so, they return to their normal demeanor as if nothing had happened. I think Emily's competitive nature makes her more likely to lash out at Mary, who is the closest to her. Perhaps it's a matter of pride for Emily as the older sister? She always seemed to have a competitive spirit against Mary. However, no matter how hard Emily tried, she never seemed to match up to Mary. Mary, for her part, seemed unaware of Emily's competitive feelings, always interacting with the same energy level. Seemingly unfazed even when ignored. Eventually, Emily stopped trying to compete, and by the time she graduated high school, her days flowed as peacefully as a calm river. After high school, Mary started working at a small travel agency. 2 years later, she got married, moved out, and soon gave birth to a boy, Nick. Now, Nick is in the 5th grade. On the other hand, after graduating from high school, Emily worked in a clothing store and enjoyed her work-focused life up until she was 23. However, seeing Mary's blissful appearance as a bride sparked something in her, and she suddenly started focusing intensely on finding a partner. One day, when Emily turned 26, she came home from work with a bright smile. "Mom, guess what?" She rushed toward me in the living room, where I was ironing, with such vigor it was almost as if a wild boar was charging. "Hi, Emily. Something good happened?" I stopped and looked up at Emily, whose eyes sparkled brightly. "I got proposed to by Chris." Chris is Emily's boyfriend, whom she met at a mixer, and they had been dating for a year. "Next, it'll be kids. Mary only has one, so I want two." Emily clasped her hands and looked up as if praying. "Emily, that's not something to compete over, is it?" But Emily seemed already caught up in the idea of marriage and children. "Will you move out when you get married, Emily?" "Of course. We're planning to build a house so we can live comfortably, even when we have kids. I'll quit my job and focus on being a homemaker. Emily, you'll make a great wife." I can't wait to get married. A few weeks later, Emily moved out. "The room feels so much bigger now," John muttered as he looked around the now empty rooms of Emily and Mary. "I'm going to miss them. Let's just take it easy from now on, just the two of us." "Sounds good." To offset the loneliness of our daughters moving out, we started going out more. However, one day, our peaceful days came to an abrupt end. It all started with a single phone call. "Hello?" John is cautious and wary of the scams that are prevalent these days. As the person on the other end spoke, John's face grew tenser, and I couldn't help but worry. "So, what about my daughter?" John's voice was even deeper as he questioned the caller. Then, turning pale, he began to tremble as he took notes. "I'll head over right away." After hanging up the phone, John looked utterly dazed. "John, what's wrong?" "Mary." John choked up, struggling to speak as he took several shallow breaths. "Mary has been in an accident and was taken away by ambulance." "Oh no. It seems her condition is quite serious. Let's go to the hospital right away." Realizing it was no time to be in shock, we forced ourselves to act, called a taxi, and headed to the hospital. Upon arriving at the hospital's reception, we were immediately directed to wait in front of the surgery room. There, Mary's husband, David, was pacing anxiously. "David?" "Oh, Linda and John." Seeing us, David's face, which had been taut with strain, suddenly broke down and tears streamed down his face. "Mary, a truck ran a red light and..." David sobbed softly. "Oh no." I couldn't yet comprehend the full situation and just stared at the surgery room doors. How much time had passed? The surgery room doors slowly opened. Mary. David, as if about to rush into the surgery room, was approached by Dr. Williams, who walked with a heavy step. "Dr. Williams, is she okay? Are you her family member?" Dr. Williams did not answer David's question but instead began with a serious tone. "Yes, I'm her husband, and these are Mary's parents." "What's her condition?" "I did my best, but honestly, her condition is critical." "Oh no." "Dr. Williams, please do whatever you can." Hearing the words I dreaded most from Dr. Williams, my mind went blank. Dr. Williams clenched his lips and his face turned grim. Soon after, we were allowed to visit Mary, who was moved to another room and appeared to be sleeping peacefully. "Mary, Mary." We called out to her, seeing her bandaged head and her painfully frail appearance. There was no response from Mary, and we were forced to face the harsh reality. If we keep talking to her, she'll respond eventually. "Let's come back tomorrow, she just had surgery." Over the next few days, we continued visiting Mary and speaking to her. David grew noticeably thinner each day. His eyes sunk in, his hair turned grayer, and he looked almost like a different person. 2 weeks into our visits, we couldn't hide our fatigue anymore. That day, David seemed to have realized something and brought their son, Nick, along. I had also contacted Emily, and she hurried to Mary's side. "Mary, please wake up." Emily softly spoke to the unresponsive Mary and reached out to touch her forehead. At that moment, Mary's stable heart rate suddenly dropped, and alarm bells sounded throughout the hospital. "Mary." The piercing beeps resounded loudly. Refusing to be drowned out by the noise, I called out desperately to Mary. "Mary, Mary." Looking at the heart monitor, Mary's heart rate had stopped. "I'll go get Dr. Williams." In the tense moments, Dr. Williams quickly returned. "Please step back." Dr. Williams immediately attempted CPR, but Mary's heart did not revive. At 11:26 a.m., she has passed away. As Dr. Williams finished speaking, Emily and David broke down in tears. "Mary, these past 2 weeks must have been so painful for you." John, with a trembling voice trying to hold back tears, gently touched Mary's cheek. In the midst of this, Nick seemed still unable to grasp the situation, observing the grieving adults with confusion. I explained the situation to Nick. Despite being just a child, the perceptive Nick seemed to quickly understand. Biting his tightly pressed lips as he stared intently at Mary's face and murmured, "Mom." Tears streamed down Nick's face. Tragically, just a few weeks after Mary's passing, we received the news of David's death. During the weeks Mary was hospitalized, David had lost a significant amount of weight due to shock. And his appearance dramatically changed with increased wrinkles and gray hair, making him almost unrecognizable. Already emotionally fragile, he couldn't come to terms with Mary's condition, and his pre-existing heart condition worsened. Faced with these rapid and devastating developments, we were not only confused but also deeply concerned about the future of Nick, who was now left alone. "Can't believe David passed away too." "Yeah, it's going to be hard for Nick. Should we take Nick in?" We both felt a strong desire to raise our daughter's only child. "I'd like to, but what would be best for Nick?" "Right. Maybe we should talk to Emily about it?" I immediately called Emily. Hello. Emily's voice was gloomier than usual due to the recent events. "I have something to discuss. Is now a good time?" "What's wrong?" Emily seemed to notice something was off in my tone, but just then, over the phone, I could hear Daniel's voice, sounding as if he was seeking Emily's attention. "Daniel, are you okay?" "Yeah. He just wants to play. He's very lively. He's at that age where he needs a lot of attention." Considering Emily's burden, I hesitated to ask her about taking in Nick. "So, what did you want to discuss?" Well, it's a bit hard to say." I paused, carefully choosing my words. "It's about Nick." Since moving out, Emily had been regretting not staying in closer contact with Mary and had taken charge of arranging David's funeral. In the gaps between those duties, she had mentioned that she would also take care of Nick, so she was somewhat prepared for the conversation. He's still in elementary school and thinking about his future. Emily, sharp as ever, quickly grasped my vague hints. "There's a lot going on with the funeral arrangements. Can I have some time to think it over?" "I'm sorry for leaving everything to you. You're very dependable, thank you." "Nick must be feeling very lonely now. I'll get back to you soon." After hanging up, I felt a slight relief. A few days later, Emily confirmed that she and her husband Chris would take care of Nick. "Really, thank you so much." "It's no problem, Chris loves kids, and we have plenty of space. I'll visit sometimes, so please take good care of him." Thus, we settled into a false sense of security without noticing the beginning signs of disruption. Afterward, we stayed busy with visits to David's parents and sorting through Mary's belongings. Before we knew it, 2 months had passed since Nick moved in with Emily, so we decided to visit Emily's home for the first time in a while. "Welcome." Emily greeted us with a smile, holding Daniel's hand. "Emily, Daniel, it's been a while. How's Nick?" Nick is probably in his room playing games or asleep. I'd like to see him for a bit." Nick's room is at the far end of the 2nd floor. With that, Emily disappeared into Daniel's room. Something about Emily's demeanor didn't sit right with me, but I headed upstairs to the room she had indicated as instructed. I knocked gently and called out, "Nick, are you awake? Grandma and Grandpa have come to visit." Then, the door flew open with surprising force, and Nick appeared. "Grandma? Grandpa?" His eyes sparkled as he looked at us, but he seemed noticeably thinner than the last time we saw him. "Nick, you've lost quite a bit of weight. Are you eating properly?" "No, I always only get a little bit to eat. I get hungry again quickly, but Mom says it's because I'm growing," he replied. "What do you mean?" It turned out he was often teased by classmates for being the smallest and least masculine in his 5th grade class. Does your mom know about this?
Yeah.
I told her, but Daniel is still little, right? So she hasn't come to school even once. I see. I'm sorry you're going through this, Nick. We left Nick's room momentarily and went to speak with Emily. Emily, can we talk for a moment? I notice Nick has lost a lot of weight, and he said he's being teased at school?
Ah.
Yes, but... Emily faltered in her response. We've just started living together, and I think Nick is being careful not to eat too much around us. Emily spoke quickly, avoiding my gaze. Is he being mistreated? Have you been in contact with the school? I meant to go. But just when Daniel was ill or clinging to me, demanding attention. I understand. Just make sure Nick eats properly. Yes, of course. I think he'll open up to me soon, don't worry. With that, Emily hurriedly said, I need to attend to Daniel, and quickly turned away from us. Returning to Nick's room, he was still waiting with a bright smile. As we were leaving Emily's house, I noticed John pausing and staring intently at the entrance. John, what's wrong? Nothing, let's go. The image of Nick's gaunt figure lingered in my mind. We returned home silently, unable to shake off our concerns. A few weeks later, the phone at our house rang. Hello? Hello, Grandma? It's Nick. To my surprise, it was Nick who had called. Hey, I have a field day coming up this Saturday. That sounds fun. While I was excited about attending his field day, something felt off about why he would call us himself. We'll definitely come and cheer for you.
Yeah.
Thank you. After hanging up, I turned to report to John, who looked unusually troubled. John? Sorry. Was that Nick on the phone? Yes, he said there's a field day this Saturday. We promised to go and cheer for him. John's eyes hardened as he nodded firmly. And then, on the day of the field day, Elle arrived. Under the delightful clear skies, we headed to the elementary school with excited hearts. Just as we arrived, the opening ceremony of the field day was about to start. There's Nick. Among the lined-up students in the schoolyard, we spotted Nick and tried to imprint his brave face in our memories. After the opening ceremony, the first event began quickly, and Nick participated in the obstacle race. Go, Nick. You can do it. Naturally, many parents had come to cheer, and it seemed our voices didn't reach Nick as we couldn't catch his eye. Before we knew it, the morning session ended, and the lunch break announcement was made. The elementary school students who had been sitting in their class groups hurried to their guardians to have lunch with them. I finally regained my composure and began searching for Emily and her family, but I couldn't spot them anywhere. I followed John's gaze as he exclaimed. What caught our eyes was Nick all alone, nibbling on a sandwich. Nick. We immediately rushed over to him. Nick, we're here. Grandma, Grandpa. As he wrapped his half-eaten sandwich back in the wrapper, Nick smiled warmly at us. Why are you eating alone? Where are your mom and dad? It turns out, they went to the aquarium with my little brother. What? I was taken aback by Nick's unexpected answer. I knew it. What do you mean by you knew it? Emily was lying to us. John was visibly angry, almost as if he would grab Emily and her husband by the collar if they were there. After the field day ends, we need to talk to Emily. Despite it being our grandson's field day, we were left with mixed feelings. Once the field day was over, we hurried to Emily's house with Nick. Emily? Emily. As soon as we arrived at Emily's house, John started calling out while ringing the doorbell. After a while, Emily came out dressed as if she had just been somewhere fancy. Dad, raising your voice like that is a nuisance to the neighbors. Emily looked clearly annoyed and spoke in a frustrated tone. I don't care about the neighbors right now. It's about Nick. It was his field day today, why weren't you there to support him? Emily was visibly shaken and covered her trembling lips with her hand. Why do you guys even know today was the field day? And besides, we have our way of raising our children, so please don't interfere. Emily rattled off like a machine gun and forced us out saying, "Daniel is crying," and closed the door on us. "Hey, we're not done talking." "Emily." John raised his voice, but the door remained shut. Hearing John's loud voice, a neighbor came to check on us. "What happened?" "I'm sorry for raising my voice, my daughter lives in this house." "Oh, are you Emily's parents?" The neighbor, who seemed kind-hearted, quickly welcomed us and gestured for us to come closer. "I hate to say this to you, but, actually." The neighbor confided that Emily has been unusually harsh on Nick. "Actually, it's beyond harsh." "Is that so?" "Yes, it's becoming a bit of an issue in the neighborhood." Nick was really being treated that harshly. Angered by the revelation, I decided we needed to gather indisputable evidence so that Emily could not talk her way out of it. "John, I'm going to speak with the elementary school teachers." "All right. I'll gather more information from the neighbors." Over several days, we diligently collected evidence and consulted with the Child Welfare Services to further substantiate our concerns. The staff at the Child Welfare Office were very supportive, and we were able to get a good grasp of Nick's situation. Later, we arranged a meeting with Emily under the guise that the child welfare officer was a counselor specializing in dealing with children like Nick, offering us guidance on how to interact with him at his age. On the day of the meeting, the staff, both of us, Emily and Chris, and Nick sat down together. The child welfare official began asking Nick gentle questions. "Do you enjoy school? What do you talk about with your mom? Are you eating well? Do you get along with your brother? Who do you bathe with?" I almost wanted to cover my ears as Nick responded, tears naturally starting to flow. Then Emily began to speak hesitantly. "I've always been jealous of Mary. Mary excelled effortlessly in both her studies and sports. With her carefree smile and being beloved by everyone, she married and had children earlier than Emily, seeming very happy." Emily admitted that she was envious and jealous of Mary. "I was envious of her, and because I could never measure up to Mary. I suppose I wanted Nick to somehow pay for that." Emily, looking down, clenched her hands together tightly. Seeing Emily like this, I was reminded of the times when she used to fiercely compete with Mary back when they were both living at home. However, I could not forgive Emily for treating young Nick so harshly, just because of her one-sided jealousy towards Mary. Was my love not enough? While I was angry with Emily, I also wondered if I was to blame for not being more supportive when she was constantly competing with her sister. "Did your husband know about this?" "Only to some extent, but I didn't realize it was this bad. I'm terribly sorry for what Nick went through." "Nick, I'm so sorry for letting you suffer like this." "It's okay. Grandma and Grandpa always treated me nicely. I really want to live with you guys." Nick looked at us earnestly. Afterward, it was decided that Nick would come to live with us. Chris deeply regretted giving in to Emily's pressure and agreed to pay a substantial amount of child support as an apology. Emily was handed over to the police through Child Welfare Services, and although she wasn't arrested, she was severely reprimanded for neglecting her parenting duties. Moreover, a startling accusation came from an acquaintance of Emily who had heard about the police involvement. Shockingly, it was revealed that Daniel was actually the son of a man Emily had dated before marrying Chris. This person, having been silenced by Emily, decided to come forward with the truth amid the current upheaval. After the whole ordeal, Chris called us to meet at a cafe. "We've divorced." "That's a good decision." According to Chris, Emily had quietly accepted the divorce and left the house the following day. Despite appearing tired from the ordeal, Chris seemed relieved. "I'm sorry for the trouble my daughter caused." No. Living with Emily had its challenges, but it was also fun. "Plus, look," Chris said as he brought Daniel along and looked at him with affection. "Blood-related or not, Daniel is my son. That's why I decided to take custody." "I'm sorry Emily turned out like this, please take good care of Daniel." "No, I had many good times with Emily, and she gave me a treasure, Daniel." As Chris spoke, Daniel smiled joyfully and shared his little stories. Listening to Daniel, whom we hadn't talked to much before, we found ourselves smiling at his innocent happiness. After parting with smiles, we decided to visit the museum that Nick had been eager to go to. As we walked outside, the cold scent of creeping winter was in the air. Today, there's a dinosaur exhibit, Nick said. He was skipping and frolicking around, unfazed by the cold. Wow, Grandpa really likes the Tyrannosaurus, huh? That's classic. I'll teach you all about them, Grandpa. I watched the two of them with a smile. Since John took Nick in, he seemed rejuvenated, bustling with energy and showering Nick with boundless love. As for myself, I had been withdrawn after Mary's passing, but Nick's smile loosened my heart, and now I find every day joyful and fulfilling. Suddenly, a soft, warm breeze, uncharacteristic of the season, enveloped me. Mary? I murmured unconsciously and looked up at the sky. The sun was shining in a cloudless sky. As I squinted at the brilliance of the sun, an image of Mary's smiling face filled my vision. Mom, Dad, thank you. Please take good care of Nick. Mary's voice seemed to speak directly to my heart, clear in my ears. Mary, watch over us from heaven. We'll make sure to send plenty of Nick smiles your way.